I simply want to tell you this today. Thank your body, because your body is truly miraculous. Think about the last time you accidentally cut your finger or scraped your skin. You did not have to tell your blood how to form a clot, instruct your immune system to protect the wound, or remind new cells to rebuild what had been damaged. An intelligence greater than your conscious mind immediately went to work, quietly protecting you, cleansing the injured area, and beginning the delicate process of repair. Even while you were sleeping, thinking about other things, or worrying about how long healing might take, your body remained devoted to you. Your body did not criticize you for being careless, and it did not decide that you were unworthy of its care. It simply responded with everything it knew how to do. What if, from this moment forward, you began to see your body not as a problem that must constantly be corrected, but as a loyal friend that has been serving you every day of your life? What if you stopped looking at it with disappointment and began looking at it with wonder? I love and appreciate my body, and I am willing to listen to what it needs. Your body is always communicating with you, although its language may not always be expressed in words. Fatigue may be asking you to slow down. Tension may be asking you to breathe. And pain may be asking you to pay attention and seek appropriate care. These signals are not proof that your body has betrayed you. They are messages from a living system doing its best to protect you. Loving your body does not mean denying illness, ignoring symptoms, or pretending that everything feels wonderful when it does not. Love is honest, attentive, and willing to ask for help. It allows you to consult a doctor, take prescribed medicine, receive treatment, and still speak gently to yourself throughout the process. Natural healing means supporting the body's capacity to recover. It never means replacing qualified medical care when that care is needed. You do not have to choose between loving thoughts and responsible treatment, because both can become part of the same compassionate path. I love every cell of my body. Let that simple thought remind you that your body deserves companionship rather than criticism, especially when it is hurting. When the skin is injured, the body begins a carefully coordinated sequence of events almost immediately. Blood vessels respond, platelets gather, and a clot forms to reduce bleeding and create a temporary barrier over the wound. The immune system then sends cells to remove damaged material and help defend the area from harmful organisms. After that essential work has begun, new cells multiply, collagen is produced, and fresh tissue gradually fills the space that was opened. Over time, the wound becomes stronger, although the new tissue may remain delicate while repair continues beneath the surface. You do not consciously manage any of these steps, yet your body carries them out with extraordinary precision. This small example reveals an important truth. Healing is not something you force upon your body, but a process you learn to support. Your task is not to command every cell. Your task is to create conditions in which those cells can do their work. Healing happens. Sometimes the most loving action is to step out of the way, offer the right care, and allow the intelligence of the body to proceed at its own pace. Of course, even the wisest body needs support, and certain conditions can make its work more difficult. Too little sleep deprives the body of valuable restoration time, while prolonged stress can keep the nervous system in a state of constant alarm. Inadequate nutrition may leave the body without enough protein, vitamins, minerals, and energy to rebuild damaged tissue effectively. Smoking can reduce blood flow and oxygen delivery, while excessive alcohol may interfere with immunity, sleep, nutrition, and responsible wound care. A wound that is repeatedly disturbed, left unclean, or exposed to infection may struggle to close properly. Constantly ignoring pain, exhaustion, fever, swelling, or other changes can also delay the moment when useful help is received. None of this is an invitation to blame yourself for being ill or healing slowly. Blame creates more distress, while awareness gives you an opportunity to make a new and more supportive choice. I release the need to criticize myself, and I choose to care for my body with patience. You are not being asked to become perfect. You are only being invited to become a little more attentive and loving today than you were yesterday. Begin with the simple, practical forms of care that help your body feel protected. Clean and cover a minor wound appropriately. Keep it from being repeatedly irritated, and follow professional guidance when special care is required. Give your body nourishing food, including adequate protein and a varied range of foods that provide the vitamins and minerals needed for repair. Drink enough water, because every system in the body depends upon hydration to function well. Allow yourself to sleep, pause, and reduce unnecessary demands while your energy is being used for recovery. Gentle movement may support circulation and emotional well-being when it is suitable for your condition. But rest is equally meaningful when your body is asking for it. Do not use positive thinking to silence a symptom that needs attention. Seek prompt medical care. If a wound is deep, will not stop bleeding, contains a foreign object, was caused by a bite or dirty object, or shows possible signs of infection, such as increasing pain, warmth, redness, swelling, pus, fever, or red streaks. Asking for help is an act of self-love, not a failure of faith. The wisest healing practice is one that combines tenderness, common sense, and timely professional support. And now, place one hand gently over your heart, and if it feels comfortable, place the other near the part of your body that is asking for care. Take a slow breath and imagine that you are speaking to a small child who has been frightened or hurt. You would not shout at that child for needing time, nor would you demand that the pain disappear before the child was worthy of tenderness. You would offer safety, protection, nourishment, and the reassurance that no one has to heal alone. Your body needs that same quality of kindness from you. Tell it, "Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for working for me even when I did not notice." Feel your shoulders soften as you release the belief that criticism will make recovery happen faster. Your cells do not need another enemy. They need a peaceful inner environment in which they can continue their work. I give my body the time and conditions it needs to restore itself. Breathe those words in slowly and allow them to become a promise rather than a demand. A physical wound also teaches us something tender about emotional wounds. When the heart has been hurt, we often expect ourselves to recover immediately, return to normal, and stop feeling what we feel. Then, when grief, fear, or sadness returns, we judge ourselves as though healing should have followed a perfectly straight line. But healing rarely moves in a straight line, whether it is occurring in the skin, the nervous system, or the heart. There may be days of visible improvement and days when the area feels tender again. Tenderness does not always mean that you are failing. Sometimes it means that deeper repair is still taking place. Just as you would not tear open a forming scab to see whether the wound is healing, try not to reopen an emotional injury through constant self-accusation. Give yourself safe relationships, appropriate professional support, nourishing routines, and permission to rest. Healing is not a race, and I do not have to punish myself for needing time. Your pace is your pace, and compassion can accompany you through every stage. Perhaps you have spent years speaking harshly about your body, believing that criticism would motivate it to become different. You may have called it weak when it was exhausted, unattractive when it needed acceptance, or unreliable when it was trying to warn you that something required attention. If so, you do not need to criticize yourself for that habit either. You were probably repeating a language you learned long ago, and any learned language can be changed through patient practice. Begin by noticing the old thought without fighting it. There is that old voice again, but I no longer have to follow it. Then choose a thought that offers your body respect, even if complete love still feels difficult. You can say, I am willing to learn how to love and support my body. Willingness creates a gentle doorway because it does not ask you to pretend that transformation has already been completed. It simply tells your mind and body that a new relationship is now possible. Every kind sentence becomes a seed, and every loving action gives that seed a little more light and water. Imagine waking tomorrow morning and greeting your body before you reach for your worries. You might place your feet on the floor and thank them for carrying you. Thank your lungs for breathing, and thank your heart for continuing its steady work. You might ask, what do you need from me today? And then become quiet enough to hear the answer. Perhaps the answer will be water, a nourishing meal, an earlier bedtime, a gentle walk, a medical appointment, or permission to say no to one unnecessary demand. Healing is often supported by ordinary choices repeated with love rather than dramatic promises made from fear. The body responds to what we consistently provide: care, safety, nourishment, movement, rest, attention, and appropriate treatment. I make healthy choices because I respect myself. You do not have to transform your entire life in one morning. Choose the next loving action that is genuinely available to you. One glass of water, one period of rest, one well-prepared meal, or one honest conversation with a healthcare professional can become a meaningful beginning. So, my dear, remember the quiet miracle that began the moment your skin was injured and continues within you even now. Your body is not waiting for you to become perfect before it offers its protection. It is working with the resources it has, responding to your environment, and continually seeking a more balanced state. Meet that devotion with devotion of your own. Give it sleep when it is tired, nourishment when it is depleted, suitable movement when it is ready, calm when it is overwhelmed, and medical attention when something requires examination or treatment. Speak to it as you would speak to someone you deeply love. My body is my friend, and I choose to become a loving friend to my body. I listen with patience, I respond with wisdom, and I welcome the support that is right for me. All is well. Everything is working out for my highest good, and I am safe. Take one final breath. Thank your extraordinary body for everything it is doing today, and allow healing to be a partnership built on time, care, trust, and love. Let's talk about the quiet team of protectors living and working inside your body every moment of every day. Have you ever stopped to think about how many things your body handles without asking for your conscious direction? Your immune system coordinates cells, tissues, organs, and chemical signals to recognize and respond to many potential threats. It watches, remembers, communicates, and adapts while you are working, laughing, worrying, and sleeping. Isn't that extraordinary? Even a rise in body temperature can sometimes be part of the immune response, creating conditions that help the body respond to an infection. However, a fever is also a symptom that deserves attention because it may signal an illness that needs monitoring, testing, or medical treatment. Loving your body does not mean assuming that every fever is harmless or that every symptom can be managed at home. It means listening carefully, responding responsibly, and asking for professional help when you are concerned. My body speaks to me, and I listen with patience, wisdom, and love. Your immune system is not an invincible wall, and there is no single food, supplement, herb, or affirmation that can guarantee protection from illness. What supports immunity is usually far less dramatic and much more consistent. Sufficient sleep, balanced nutrition, hydration, suitable movement, stress management, prevention, and appropriate health care. Does that sound too ordinary? We often search for one miraculous ingredient because repeating simple acts of care does not feel exciting enough. Yet your body builds its strength through what you give it regularly, not through one perfect decision made occasionally. A colorful meal cannot undo weeks without sleep, just as one long night of sleep cannot replace ongoing medical care for a health condition. Health grows through a relationship of attention, consistency, flexibility, and respect. You do not need to perform every habit perfectly to begin supporting yourself. Choose one small action that your body can receive today and allow that action to matter. Every loving choice is a message to my body that I am here to support it. Now let us speak about sleep, because many people treat it as something they must earn after all their work has been completed. Have you ever felt guilty for lying down while someone else was still working? Have you ever pushed through exhaustion because resting made you feel lazy, weak, or unproductive? Perhaps you learned that your value depended on how much you accomplished, how many people you helped, or how little you needed. But your body does not measure your worth through completed tasks. During sleep, it performs important maintenance related to immune regulation, memory, metabolism, tissue repair, and emotional processing. Rest is not an interruption of life. It is one of the processes that makes life possible. You are still worthy when you close your eyes, turn off the light, and allow the day to end unfinished. There will always be one more message, one more responsibility, and one more reason to delay caring for yourself. I am safe when I rest, and I allow my body to restore itself while I sleep. If sleep has been difficult, begin with kindness instead of turning bedtime into another test you must pass. A regular sleep and waking schedule may help your body recognize when it is time to become alert and when it is time to settle. Dimming lights, reducing stimulation, and creating a quieter routine can gently signal that the active part of the day is ending. Perhaps you can place your phone farther away, take a warm shower, read something calming, or write down tomorrow's concerns before getting into bed. Will every night be perfect? Of course not. And criticizing yourself at 2 a.m. will not make sleep arrive more easily. You can say, even while I am awake, I can allow my body to rest. If sleeplessness is persistent, severe, or affecting your ability to function safely, speak with a qualified healthcare professional. Asking for help does not mean that you have failed at relaxation. It means that you value your well-being enough to receive the support you need. Let's talk now about inflammation, because this word is often described as though it represents only something dangerous. Acute inflammation can be a normal part of the body's protective and repair response after injury or infection. Redness, warmth, swelling, and discomfort may occur because blood flow and immune activity have increased in the affected area. In that context, inflammation is not necessarily your enemy. It may be evidence that your internal protectors have arrived. Isn't it comforting to know that even discomfort can sometimes have a protective purpose? Still, prolonged, excessive, or unexplained inflammation can damage tissue or reflect a condition that requires medical evaluation. We must not turn a reassuring idea into a reason to dismiss ongoing pain, severe swelling, breathing problems, fever, or other unusual symptoms. Listening to your body means taking its messages seriously, not explaining every symptom away with positive thinking. I honor my body's wisdom, and I seek appropriate help when its signals persist. Love is not passive. Love notices, investigates, and responds. You can support a balanced inflammatory response through daily habits, but these habits should complement, not replace, medical advice and necessary treatment. Begin with a varied diet built around nourishing foods rather than searching for one ingredient that promises to cure everything. Vegetables, fruits, suitable protein sources, minimally processed foods, and appropriate fats can provide the body with many of the materials it needs. Gentle, regular movement may support circulation, mobility, sleep, mood, and overall health when it is appropriate for your condition. A warm drink or herbal tea may feel soothing, but natural products can still cause allergies, side effects, or interactions with medication. Have you ever assumed that something must be safe simply because it came from a plant? This is where loving awareness becomes important. Check with a qualified professional when you take medication. Have a health condition, are pregnant, or are uncertain about an herb or supplement. I do not have to chase every promise. I choose what supports me with clarity and care. Your body deserves informed kindness rather than fear-driven experimentation. Stress is another part of this conversation, because the body responds not only to what happens around you, but also to whether it senses safety or danger. This does not mean that stress causes every illness, nor does it mean that being sick is your fault. It simply means that moments of calm can support your comfort, emotional regulation, sleep, and ability to make thoughtful decisions. Would you like to create one of those moments now? Place one hand on your chest and the other gently on your abdomen. Breathe in slowly without forcing the breath, then allow the exhalation to become slightly longer than the inhalation. Repeat this at a comfortable pace and notice whether any part of your face, jaw, neck, or shoulders is willing to soften. You are not demanding that your body become completely peaceful in 1 minute. You are simply offering it a new message. In this moment, there is permission to pause. Continue for several breaths and imagine that you are moving from constant defense into a quieter state of rest. As you breathe, picture tension as a tight knot that does not need to be pulled apart by force. Each gentle exhalation loosens one small strand, and that is enough for now. Can you feel how different this is from ordering yourself to calm down? The body often responds more readily to invitation than to command. You might whisper, "I gently release tension, and peace moves through every part of my body." If peaceful words feel too far from your current experience, use a bridge that your mind can accept. Say, I am willing to experience one moment of greater ease. There is no need to deny anger, fear, sadness, pain, or uncertainty in order to practice calm. You can tell the truth about what you feel and still create a little more space around that feeling. Positivity is not pretending that nothing hurts. It is remembering that pain does not have the authority to write your entire future. Now let us consider the remarkable way the body renews itself through the ordinary rhythm of life. Many tissues continually replace old or damaged cells with new ones, although different cell types renew at very different rates. Some tissues have considerable capacity for repair, while others regenerate slowly or have limited ability to replace serious damage. Age, illness, injury, nutrition, sleep, movement, medication, genetics, and many other factors can influence these processes. We should never turn cellular renewal into the misleading promise that every organ can completely rebuild itself under all circumstances. That promise may sound hopeful, but genuine hope must leave room for biological reality and medical care. The deeper truth is still beautiful. Your body is engaged in ongoing maintenance, adaptation, and repair wherever it is capable of doing so. You can participate by creating supportive conditions rather than attempting to control the outcome. I respect the natural rhythms of my body, and I support them one day at a time. Healing does not become less meaningful simply because it has limits, requires treatment, or follows a path you did not expect. There are 5 foundational ways to offer that support, and the first is sufficient, consistent sleep whenever possible. The second is daily movement suited to your health, whether that means walking, stretching, rehabilitation exercises, or another form recommended for you. The third is regular hydration, adjusted for your circumstances and any medical guidance you have received. The fourth is giving your nervous system several minutes of breathing, meditation, quiet reflection, or another form of safe relaxation. The fifth is caring for your inner life by noticing emotions, writing honestly, seeking connection, and replacing habitual criticism with supportive language. Which one of these is your body asking for today? Do not choose all 5 merely to prove that you are serious. Choose one that feels realistic enough to repeat tomorrow. Small acts of care, practiced consistently, become a powerful language of self-respect. Your body does not need a dramatic performance. It needs a relationship it can trust. Perhaps an affirmation such as, "I trust my body completely," does not feel believable to you yet. Maybe you have experienced illness, chronic pain, disability, or a frightening diagnosis, and the word trust feels complicated. Please do not force yourself to repeat a sentence that creates more resistance or shame. Move the thought closer to where you genuinely are. You might say, "I am willing to learn how to trust my body." Can you feel the kindness in that sentence? It does not demand certainty, erase your history, or ask you to feel grateful for suffering. It simply leaves the door open to a new relationship. Tomorrow, you may be able to say, "I am learning to recognize the ways my body continues to support me." Bridge statements allow hope and honesty to sit together in the same room. Let us turn these ideas into a gentle daily practice, beginning with the first few minutes of your morning. Before you ask your body to work, solve problems, care for others, and carry you through the day, offer it a moment of appreciation. Drink a glass of water if that is appropriate for you. Place your hand over your heart and feel the movement beneath your palm. Look into the mirror and choose one affirmation that feels supportive rather than performative. You might say, "Good morning, my body. Today I will listen to you with greater patience." Then select one specific act of care for the day. Perhaps you will prepare a nourishing lunch, attend an appointment, take a short walk, pause between meetings, or begin getting ready for bed earlier. Doesn't one clear promise feel gentler than a long list of impossible demands? Keep the promise small enough that your nervous system can experience success. Every time you follow through, you strengthen the message that your needs deserve a place in your own life. Around the middle of the day, pause before tiredness has become complete exhaustion. Ask yourself, where am I holding tension right now? And wait without judging the answer. Perhaps your jaw is tight, your shoulders are raised, your breathing is shallow, or your hands have been clenched without your noticing. Take several slow breaths, drink some water if needed, and move your body in a comfortable way. A brief walk, a gentle stretch, or one quiet minute may not solve every problem, but it can interrupt the habit of abandoning yourself. Notice the thought that says, "I have to push harder." Then offer a more sustainable response. "I can continue one thoughtful step at a time." Can you sense how that sentence preserves your strength instead of attacking it? Progress does not have to be created through inner violence. In the evening, allow the day to close without putting your worth on trial. Write down 3 things your body helped you experience or accomplish, even if they seem very small. Perhaps your eyes noticed a beautiful color, your hands prepared a meal, or your legs carried you from one room to another. Acknowledge one emotion that needs to be heard instead of immediately corrected. Then release the criticism attached to everything you did not finish. "I have done enough for this day, and I am allowed to rest." Prepare your sleeping space with as much quiet and comfort as your circumstances permit. Let tomorrow's tasks remain in tomorrow. Your value will not decrease while you are sleeping. I close this day with gratitude, and I place my body gently in the care of rest. Practices like these cannot guarantee that you will never become ill, and they should not be presented as a cure for medical conditions. What they can do is help you become more aware of your needs and more willing to respond before distress becomes overwhelming. They may strengthen your resilience, support emotional regulation, reduce feelings of helplessness, and encourage choices that align with your values. They can also help you notice the relationship between thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and bodily sensations without blaming yourself for every symptom. Isn't it empowering to know that responsibility and blame are not the same thing? Blame says, "This is all my fault," while responsibility asks, "What caring action is available to me now?" You may not control every diagnosis, limitation, or outcome, but you can participate in your care. I release blame and choose loving responsibility. That is a definition of personal power, spacious enough to include doctors, treatment, community, uncertainty, and hope. And now, before we finish, take a moment to recognize how faithfully your body has accompanied you. Your heart has continued beating without waiting for praise. Your lungs have carried breath into you. Your blood has delivered oxygen and nutrients, and your immune system has remained watchful. While you slept, countless cells continued their maintenance, communication, and repair. Does this mean that the body will always work perfectly or heal every condition on its own? No. But perfection was never the requirement for love. Your body has cared for you throughout your life in all the ways it could, and now you can answer that care with tenderness, rest, nourishment, movement. attention, and timely medical support. Place your hand on your heart once more and say, "Thank you, my body, for all the visible and invisible ways you support me." Let gratitude be an act of companionship rather than a demand for a particular outcome. I love and appreciate my body. I listen to its signals with patience. I allow myself to rest without guilt. I nourish my body through thoughtful and loving choices. I release the demand to heal immediately. Each day, I help my body move toward greater balance. I welcome appropriate medical care and the support of people who are qualified to help me. I am willing to trust the healing possibilities available to me. Today, I am safe, I am supported, and I do not have to do everything alone. Take a slow, final breath. Allow these words to settle gently within you, and remember that caring for your body is not a task to complete, but a loving relationship to renew each day. Imagine, my dear, that inside your mind there is a room full of voices. Some voices are gentle. Some voices are afraid. Some voices sound like your parents. Some sound like old teachers, old lovers, old criticism, old shame, old rules, old religion, old culture, old memories, old pain. And for many years, perhaps you thought all of those voices were you. You thought every fear was your truth. You thought every belief was your identity. You thought every anxious thought, every self-judgment, every need to please, every pressure to become impressive, every fear of being seen, every old wound speaking inside you was simply me. But my dear, not every thought in your head belongs to the deepest truth of who you are. Many thoughts are learned. Many fears are inherited. Many beliefs were planted before you were old enough to question them. Freedom begins when you pause and ask, is this belief truly mine? Or did I learn it from someone else's fear? You may be living with the voice of a parent inside you and believing it is your own wisdom. You may hear, "You are not good enough," and think that is truth, when perhaps it is only an old sentence passed down through generations of wounded people. You may be afraid of being judged because at some point in your life you were shamed for being yourself. You may chase success with exhaustion because somewhere inside you learned that value had to be earned. You may try to please everyone because you were taught, quietly or loudly, that love must be bought with obedience. You may stay silent because once your truth created conflict. You may over-explain because once you were misunderstood. You may hide your softness because once softness was not protected. But none of these patterns is the whole of you. They are layers. They are survival strategies. They are old costumes the soul learned to wear. To become free, you must begin to understand the different layers of the I. There is the self that other people see. There is the self you want them to see. There is the self you think you are. And beneath all of these, there is the deeper self, the eternal self, the quiet center that does not need applause, defense, or performance. When you live only from the self others see, you become controlled by their reactions. If they praise you, you rise. If they criticize you, you fall. If they misunderstand you, you panic and try to prove yourself. If they leave, you wonder if you were ever lovable. But other people do not see you purely. They see you through their own filters, their wounds, their standards, their fears, their past, their limitations, their projections. Their opinion may contain information, but it is not a final judgment on your soul. My dear, do not hand your spirit to every passing opinion. Listen when wisdom is offered, yes. Learn when there is truth, yes. But do not let another person's limited view become the definition of your life. Someone can dislike you and you can still be good. Someone can misunderstand you and you can still be honest. Someone can leave and you can still be worthy of love. Someone can criticize you and you can still be growing beautifully. The eyes of others are not the mirror of your soul. They are only one angle, one moment, one filter. Say softly, I release the need to be defined by others. I know who I am. Then there is the self you want others to see. This is the ideal image. The strong one, the successful one, the beautiful one, the intelligent one, the spiritual one, the positive one, the one who is always fine, always capable, always impressive, always desirable, always calm. This desired self is not wrong. It can inspire growth. It can help you dream. It can show you what qualities you are cultivating. But when it becomes a mask, it begins to separate you from your real heart. You may pretend to be okay when you are hurting. You may perform confidence when you are exhausted. You may show the world achievement while your inner child is begging for rest. You may try to become charming, perfect, easy to love, and impossible to leave. And the more you perform for love, the farther you feel from the one thing you truly want, to be loved as you are. Freedom is allowing yourself to be real, not careless, not unkind, not stuck, real. You are allowed to be someone who is learning. You are allowed to be someone healing. You are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to say, I do not know yet. You are allowed to have a soft day. You are allowed to be unfinished and still worthy. You do not have to turn your life into a performance to deserve belonging. Say gently, I no longer perform for love. I allow myself to be real. Then there is the self you think you are, the story you repeat about yourself each day. This layer can either imprison you or heal you. If your story is filled with self-criticism, you may live in inferiority. I am not enough. I always fail. I am behind. I am too much. I am not lovable. If your story is filled with defense, you may fall into arrogance. I must be better than others. I must prove I am special. I must never look weak. But true self-love is neither self-hatred nor superiority. True self-love says, I have value, and so do others. I am enough, and I am still growing. I do not need to shrink to be humble. I do not need to prove I am above anyone to be worthy. This is a peaceful place. This is self-respect without pride. This is humility without self-abandonment. So begin healing the self you think you are by changing the language you use with yourself. Speak less judgment. Speak less comparison. Speak more truth. Speak more compassion. Say, I am learning. Say, I am allowed to grow. Say, I can make mistakes and still be worthy. Say, I do not need to be better than anyone. I only need to be true to myself. Say softly, I think loving thoughts about myself. I am enough, and I am still growing. These new thoughts become a new inner atmosphere, and in that atmosphere, your real self can breathe. And beneath every role, every fear, every opinion, every mask, every wound, every success, every failure, every relationship, every age, every appearance, there is the deeper self, the eternal self, the part of you that was there when you were a child, before the world taught you to hide. You had a light then, a natural curiosity, a softness, a creativity, a longing to love and be loved. As you grew, you collected masks, protections, fears, and beliefs. But the core of you did not disappear. It is still there, creative, loving, alive, worthy, whole. You do not need to invent your true self. You need to remember it. You do not need to become someone else. You need to remove what was never truly you. This deepest self does not need to be proven. It only needs to be remembered. It does not rise and fall with applause. It does not disappear when someone disapproves. It does not become worthless when a plan fails. It does not become lovable only when you perform well. It simply is. Quiet, whole, free. Place your hand on your heart and say, beneath every role, every fear, and every opinion, I am whole. Then say, the truth of who I am is eternal, whole, and free. Let these words guide you home. You are free to question the old voices. You are free to release the masks. You are free to stop living as a reflection of other people's opinions. You are free to be real, to be gentle, to be unfinished, to be alive. You are free to be yourself and love your life. And now, my dear, after we have looked at all these layers of the self, after we have seen the voices that are not truly ours, the masks we wear, the opinions we absorb, and the stories we tell about ourselves, we come to one of the most tender doors of freedom, self-acceptance. You cannot be free while you are still at war with yourself. You cannot feel peaceful if every day you wake up and treat yourself like a problem to be defeated. You cannot love your life if you are constantly rejecting the person who is living it. So let us be very gentle here. Accepting yourself does not mean you stop growing. It does not mean you excuse everything, avoid responsibility, or say, this is just who I am, so I will never change. No, my dear. Self-acceptance means you stop hating yourself while you grow. It means you stop believing cruelty is necessary for transformation. It means you can look at yourself honestly and say, this is where I am today, and I am still worthy of love here. Many people think they must become perfect before they can accept themselves. They say, I will accept myself when I lose the weight, when I earn more money, when I heal completely, when I stop making mistakes, when I am calm all the time, when everyone approves of me, when I become the person I imagined. But this keeps freedom always in the future. It makes love a reward instead of a foundation. And if love is only given after perfection, the nervous system never feels safe. The inner child never rests. The heart never opens fully. Self-acceptance says, I accept my strengths, and I accept the places still learning. I accept my past, and I accept this present moment. I accept the light in me, and I accept the parts that still need healing. I accept that I have changed before, and I am allowed to change again. I do not need to be ashamed of the person I used to be in order to become someone wiser. This is freedom. When you stop hiding yourself from yourself, your life energy begins to return. There is so much energy locked inside self-rejection. Think of how much strength it takes to constantly pretend, constantly criticize, constantly compare, constantly hide, constantly prove that you are acceptable. When you accept yourself, that energy comes home. You can finally use it to create, rest, love, heal, and live. You no longer waste your whole life trying to become someone else in order to deserve your own kindness. You begin to say, I accept myself exactly where I am, and I lovingly allow myself to grow. Let that sentence soften you. Exactly where I am, not where I wish I were, not where others think I should be, not where my fear demands I must be. Here, in this body, in this chapter, with this history, with this hope, with this unfinished heart, I accept myself here, and from here, I grow. And as we accept ourselves, we begin to return to the present moment. This is another door of freedom. So much suffering comes from living everywhere except here. When you live too much in the past, regret holds your hand and keeps pulling you backward. You replay old conversations, old choices, old wounds, old mistakes, old versions of yourself, and you ask, why did I do that? Why did they do that? Why did life happen that way? And when you live too much in the future, anxiety pulls you forward. You ask, what if it goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I am left behind? What if I never become who I want to be? But the soul breathes in the present. The body lives in the present. Love is experienced in the present. Beauty touches you in the present. Life is not waiting only at the finish line of your goals. Life is happening in this ordinary moment, softly asking, will you notice me? Look at a leaf shining under sunlight. Feel the warmth of a cup of tea between your hands. Listen to the wind, the rain, the sound of footsteps, the quiet hum of a room, the breath moving in and out of your body. Feel the chair beneath you. Feel your feet touching the ground. Feel the simple fact that you are alive. These moments may seem small, but they are not small to the soul. The soul knows that life is made of moments like these. Not only the big achievements, not only the applause, not only the milestones, not only the day when everything finally looks perfect. Life is also the steam rising from tea, the softness of morning light, the relief of a deep breath, the comfort of clean sheets, the sound of someone laughing, the way your body relaxes when it realizes it does not have to hurry for 1 minute. You do not need to wait for your life to become perfect before you love it. You can begin loving your life by being present in one ordinary moment. This does not mean you stop desiring more. It does not mean you stop dreaming, healing, building, or becoming. It means you stop postponing aliveness. You stop saying, I will live when everything is fixed. You begin saying, I can live here too. I can breathe here. I can notice beauty here. I can let this moment nourish me. My dear, presence is not passive. Presence is the act of returning your soul to the only place where peace can touch you. Now, say softly, I am present. I am here. I open my heart to the simple beauty of life. Let these words invite you back from all the places your mind has been wandering. And naturally, when we become present, gratitude begins to awaken. Gratitude is freedom from the mind of not enough. It does not deny difficulty. It does not say everything is easy when it is not. It does not ask you to pretend pain is not real. Gratitude simply says, pain is not the whole story. Lack is not the whole story. Fear is not the whole story. There is still light here. When you are grateful for one deep breath, you remember that life is still moving through you. When you are grateful for your body, even if it is tired or imperfect, you remember that it has carried you through every season. When you are grateful for a cup of tea, a simple meal, a roof over your head, a lesson from the past, or the fact that you are still here, you begin to free yourself from the trance of complaint. The grateful person is not the person who has everything. The grateful person is the one who recognizes that goodness is still living beside them. A person can have so much and still feel poor if the mind is trained only to see what is missing. And a person can have very little and still feel held if the heart knows how to bless what is present. Gratitude does not make you small. It opens you. It loosens the grip of comparison. It weakens the power of fear. It turns the inner conversation from, "Why is this not enough?" to, "What is here to support me now?" And when you ask that question often, your energy begins to change. Your body softens. Your mind clears. Your heart becomes more available to life. So let gratitude become a daily return. Thank the breath. Thank the body. Thank the home. Thank the lesson. Thank yourself for continuing. Thank life for the doors that opened and the doors that protected you by closing. Thank the present moment for being a place where you can begin again. Say gently, "I am grateful for this life. I welcome more good with an open heart." You do not need to force gratitude. You only need to practice noticing one blessing, then another, then another. Little by little, the mind learns that the world is not only danger, lack, judgment, and unfinished work. The world also contains support, beauty, kindness, possibility, and quiet miracles. And as acceptance, presence, and gratitude grow within you, something deeper begins to happen. You begin to taste soul freedom. Soul freedom is not about becoming someone no one ever criticizes. That day may never come. People will have opinions. People will misunderstand. People will project their own fears and standards onto you. Soul freedom is not the absence of judgment from others. Soul freedom is when judgment no longer pulls you out of yourself. It is when you can hear an opinion and not collapse into it. It is when you can be disliked and still remain kind to yourself. It is when you can be misunderstood and still know your own heart. It is when you can be different without apologizing for your existence. It is when you stop living to perform, please, prove, hide, or become someone else. You live from the truth inside. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to love what you love. You are allowed to leave places that make you feel small. You are allowed not to explain yourself to people who do not want to understand. You are allowed to live a life that does not match someone else's expectations. You are allowed to grow in a direction that surprises people. You are allowed to choose peace over approval. You are allowed to disappoint someone without abandoning your soul. You are allowed to love yourself without apologizing for it. These permissions may sound simple, but to a person who has lived for years under the weight of expectation, they can feel revolutionary. Perhaps you were taught that being loved meant being easy. Perhaps you were taught that being good meant being silent. Perhaps you were taught that being accepted meant becoming what others wanted. Perhaps you learned to smile when you were tired, say yes when your whole body said no, and shrink your desires so no one would feel uncomfortable. But my dear, that is not freedom. That is survival in a pretty costume. Soul freedom begins when you say, I am no longer available for a life where I betray my truth to keep false peace. This does not mean you become unkind. It means you become honest. It means your love includes yourself. It means your peace matters too. Say softly, I am free in my soul. I live from truth, love, and inner peace. Feel how steady that is. Truth, love, and inner peace. Not rebellion for the sake of rebellion. Not ego trying to prove it is special. Not anger trying to burn everything down. Truth, love, inner peace. You can set boundaries from love. You can walk away from love. You can change from love. You can speak from love. You can stop performing from love. You can be yourself from love. The deepest freedom is not chaotic. It is calm. It feels like coming home. My dear, you were never meant to live as a prisoner of other people's opinions. You were not born to be a copy of someone else. You were not born to become the answer to society's expectations. You were not born to spend your whole life editing your soul so you would be easier to approve of. You were born to be yourself, to heal yourself, to love your life, and to let your soul breathe. There is something inside you that has always known this, even when you tried to fit in, even when you wore the mask, even when you chased approval, even when you forgot your own voice. Something in you still whispered, there is more truth than this. There is more freedom than this. I am not here to disappear inside someone else's idea of who I should be. Do not let criticism define you. Criticism may teach you something, or it may reveal nothing more than another person's wound. Take the wisdom if there is wisdom, and release the poison if there is poison. Do not let your ideal image turn you into a stranger to yourself. Let dreams inspire you, but do not let performance replace your soul. Do not let old thoughts lock you inside inferiority. A thought can be repeated for years and still not be the truth. A fear can be loud and still not be God. A memory can hurt and still not be your destiny. Remember the eternal self, the deeper self, the part of you that remains whole beneath the masks, beneath the mistakes, beneath the changing body, beneath the changing roles, beneath the praise and the blame. That part of you is still here. It was here when you were a child, before the world taught you to hide. It was here when you were learning to survive. It was here when you were misunderstood. It was here when you forgot your own worth. It is here now, listening, waiting for you to return. It is not asking you to become perfect. It is asking you to become honest. It is asking you to stop punishing yourself for being human. It is asking you to notice the sunlight, to breathe in the present, to bless your life, to say no when no is true, to say yes when yes comes from love, to live without constantly asking permission to exist. Freedom is when you can look at your life and say, I do not need everything to be perfect before I begin loving it. Freedom is when you can look at yourself and say, I do not need to be perfect before I offer myself kindness. Freedom is when you can stand in an ordinary moment with your unfinished dreams, your healing heart, your human flaws, your quiet hopes, and still say, I am here, I am enough, I am alive, I am allowed to be me. That is a beautiful life, my dear, not a perfect life, a true life. So today, release one old voice that is not yours. Remove one mask that has become too heavy. Stop asking one person's opinion to decide your worth. Accept one part of yourself you have been fighting. Notice one small beauty in the present moment. Name one thing you are grateful for. Make one choice that honors your truth. These are not small actions. These are acts of liberation. Each one tells the soul, you may breathe now. You may come home now. You do not have to live as a prisoner anymore. Place your hand on your heart and say, I accept myself exactly where I am, and I lovingly allow myself to grow. Say, I am present. I am here. I open my heart to the simple beauty of life. Say, I am grateful for this life. I welcome more good with an open heart. Say, I am free in my soul. I live from truth, love, and inner peace. Let these words become a doorway. Let them remind you that you do not need to become someone else to be worthy of love. You do not need to perform your way into belonging. You do not need to wait until no one judges you to finally be free. You are free when you remember who you are beneath the noise. You are free when you stop betraying your own heart. You are free when your life is no longer a performance, but a loving expression of your truth. And from this place, you can begin to love your life. Not because it is perfect, but because it is yours. You can love the morning light. You can love the breath in your body. You can love the person you are becoming. You can love the healing that is still unfolding. You can love the courage it takes to be real. You can love the quiet moments where your soul finally feels safe enough to breathe. My dear, you are not here to be a shadow of someone else's expectations. You are here to be a living expression of your own soul. You are here to remember your wholeness. You are here to release what is not yours, accept what is human, notice what is beautiful, bless what is present, and choose what is true. You are free to be yourself. You are free to love your life. And as you do, life begins to love you back in ways you can finally receive. All is well in your world. Before you go, my dear, I want to ask you one gentle question. Not a question for your mind to answer quickly, but a question for your heart to sit with quietly. How long have you been trying to become someone else in order to be loved? How long have you been editing your voice, hiding your feelings, shrinking your dreams, or performing a version of yourself that looks acceptable to the world but feels lonely inside your own soul? Take a breath and be honest with yourself. Maybe you have been strong for too long. Maybe you have been pleasing others for too long. Maybe you have allowed criticism, comparison, and old fear to decide who you are allowed to be. But today, you can choose differently. You can begin again, not by becoming perfect, but by becoming true. So if this message touched your heart, write in the comments, I am free to be myself. Let this be your declaration. Let this be the moment you stop apologizing for your soul. You are allowed to be real. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to love your life. The question I want you to ask yourself today, my dear, is this. If there were a little child inside you listening to every word you speak to yourself, would that child feel safe with you? Would that child feel loved when you say, "I am so stupid"? Would that child feel protected when you stay in places where people keep hurting you? Would that child feel seen when you push down your tears and pretend you are fine? We often think our self-talk is private, that it only happens in the mind and disappears. But the body listens, the heart listens, the nervous system listens, and the inner child, that small, tender, emotional part of you, is still listening too. Every time you criticize yourself, that child hears it. Every time you ignore your feelings, that child feels abandoned again. Every time you betray yourself to keep someone close, that child learns, maybe I am not worth protecting. My dear, healing begins when you stop treating yourself the way the world once wounded you. There is a part of you that is still very young. It may not show itself in your adult face, your responsibilities, your work, your money, your achievements, or the life you have learned to manage. But it is there. It is the part of you that once needed to be held, listened to, protected, comforted, and told, you are safe, you are loved, you matter. It is the part that still remembers the tone of certain voices, the feeling of being misunderstood, the ache of being ignored, the fear of doing something wrong, the longing to be chosen, and the sadness of needing love that did not come in the way you needed it. This inner child holds old wounds, yes, but it also holds your joy, your imagination, your innocence, your softness, your ability to trust, your natural laughter, your wonder, and your original sense of life before you learn to protect yourself. When we speak of the inner child, we are speaking of the emotional memory inside you that still asks, am I safe now? Am I loved now? Will you stay with me now? You may be grown now. You may have a career, a home, a schedule, a strong face, and people who see you as capable. But capability does not always mean the inner child feels safe. You can be successful and still feel terrified of rejection. You can be independent and still panic when someone pulls away. You can look confident and still secretly believe you must be perfect to be loved. You can have a beautiful life outside and still have a little child inside who is waiting for someone to say, you do not have to earn love anymore. If this part of you is not healed, you may keep searching outside for what the child did not receive inside. You may people please, overgive, cling, control, apologize too quickly, sacrifice your needs, chase unavailable love, or stay where your heart is not honored. Not because you are weak, but because the child within you is still trying to finally receive the love it once missed. The child within you does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be gentle and consistent. It needs to know that when you are sad, you will not shame yourself. When you make a mistake, you will not attack yourself. When you feel afraid, you will not abandon yourself. When you need rest, you will not call yourself lazy. When you are hurting, you will not tell yourself to get over it, as if tenderness is weakness. My dear, you cannot build a peaceful life if the smallest part of you still feels threatened. You cannot feel truly safe in love if you are cruel to yourself when love becomes uncertain. You cannot feel rooted in the world if the child within you believes it must perform to deserve protection. So place your hand on your heart and say, I see the child within me. I will not abandon you anymore. Let that sentence be the beginning of a new relationship with yourself. Now let us look at the first way many people hurt the inner child without realizing it: self-criticism. Self-criticism often pretends to be discipline. It says, I am only trying to make you better. It says, if I shame you enough, you will improve. It says, if I call you weak, you will become strong. But to the inner child, self-criticism does not feel like guidance. It feels like being scolded. It feels like being shamed. It feels like being rejected by the one person who was supposed to finally protect it, you. When you say, I am so stupid, the inner child does not become wiser. It becomes afraid. When you say, why am I so weak? The inner child does not become stronger. It learns to hide its feelings. When you say, I never do anything right, the inner child does not become motivated in a healthy way. It becomes smaller, quieter, and more afraid to try. Imagine saying those words to a 3-year-old child. Imagine looking into that little face and saying, you are not good enough. You are so foolish. You should be better by now. Would that child blossom? Would that child feel free? Would that child trust you? No, my dear. And the child within you does not respond well to cruelty either. Self-criticism teaches the inner child that love must be earned through perfection. It says, you are acceptable only when you succeed. You are lovable only when you are impressive. You are safe only when you make no mistakes. And so the child becomes tense. It stops playing. It stops trying new things. It stops feeling free. It begins to live under the eyes of judgment, not only from the world, but from within. This is why many people feel exhausted even when no one else is criticizing them. Their own inner voice has become a place of danger. But you can change this. You can become the loving mother, the gentle father, the wise adult that the child inside you needed. Instead of saying, I am terrible, you can say, I am learning. Instead of saying, I am not enough, you can say, I am growing, and I am still worthy of love. Instead of saying, why am I like this? You can say, something in me needs compassion right now. Speak to yourself as you would speak to a frightened child. Say, you are learning. You do not need to be perfect to be loved. I am here with you. Say, it is okay to make mistakes. We will learn together. Say, you are not bad. You are healing. Say, I will not leave you when you are struggling. My dear, this is not weakness. This is how the inner foundation becomes safe. Encouragement grows what criticism only wounds. Kindness opens what shame closes. Love teaches what fear cannot. So today, begin the practice. When you catch yourself attacking yourself, pause. Put a hand on your heart. Imagine the little child inside looking up at you, waiting to hear whether you will wound or protect. Then choose protection. Choose tenderness. Choose a new sentence. Say softly, I stop criticizing myself. I speak to myself with kindness and love. The way you treat yourself today is the way your inner child learns whether it is finally safe to be loved. So let today be different. Let your voice become a home. Let your heart become a shelter. Let your inner child hear something new from you. I see you. I love you. I will protect you now. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to hide. You do not have to earn my tenderness. I am here, and I am staying. Do you know what the next action is, my dear? It is to stop leaving your inner child alone with feelings that were never meant to be carried in silence. It is to stop telling that little one, "Do not cry," when tears are the very doorway to healing. It is to stop saying, "Be strong," when what the child inside you truly needs is not another command to survive, but a warm place to be held. Many people do not realize that emotional suppression can become a very quiet form of self-abandonment. You may think you are being mature when you swallow your tears. You may think you are being strong when you hide your sadness. You may think you are keeping peace when you push down your anger. But inside, the child is listening. The child hears, "My feelings are too much." The child hears, "If I want to be loved, I must be quiet." The child hears, "No one will sit with me when I hurt, not even me." And that is not what healing sounds like. Healing begins when you place a hand on your heart and say, "Tell me what you feel. I am listening now." When you say, "I must not cry," ask yourself, who taught you that tears were dangerous? When you say, "I should not be angry," ask yourself when you learned that anger made you unlovable. When you say, "It is not a big deal," even though something inside you is aching, ask yourself why your pain must become small before it is allowed to exist. My dear, feelings are not enemies. They are messengers. Sadness may be telling you that something mattered. Anger may be telling you that a boundary was crossed. Fear may be telling you that a part of you needs safety. Loneliness may be telling you that you need connection. Grief may be telling you that love had nowhere to go. If you silence every messenger, the inner child will stop trusting that you will protect it. It may begin to speak through tension, exhaustion, overthinking, sudden emotional outbursts, numbness, or anxiety that seems to come from nowhere. Suppressed feelings do not disappear simply because you ignore them. They wait in the body. They wait in the nervous system. They wait for the moment you finally become safe enough to feel. So create a little room inside yourself where emotions are allowed to pass through, not to control you, not to drown you, not to become your whole identity, simply to move. Write them down. Cry if tears come. Breathe into the chest. Place both hands over your heart. Name the feeling out loud. This is sadness. This is anger. This is fear. This is disappointment. This is loneliness. Naming a feeling is like turning on a small light in a dark room. Then ask the inner child, "What are you feeling? What do you need right now? If you were loved unconditionally, what would you want to say?" Do not rush the answer. The child within you may have been quiet for years. It may need time to believe that you truly want to listen. Say softly, "All my feelings are welcome. I can feel without judging myself." Let this be the beginning of emotional safety. You do not have to approve of every reaction. You do not have to act on every feeling. But you can stop punishing yourself for having feelings at all. The next way many people hurt the inner child is through comparison. Comparison seems so normal in the world. People compare beauty, money, love, talent, timing, success, healing, bodies, relationships, lifestyles, and even spirituality. You see someone succeeding and suddenly your own life looks smaller. You see someone loved and suddenly your heart says, "Why not me?" You see someone younger, richer, prettier, calmer, more admired, more accomplished, and you begin to speak to yourself as if your journey has failed. But my dear, every time you compare yourself with another person, the child within you feels that no matter how hard it tries, it is still not enough to be loved. It feels replaced. It feels criticized. It feels pushed into a race it never agreed to run. It feels as if you are standing beside it, pointing at someone else and saying, "Why can't you be like them?" And there is hardly any sentence more painful to a child than that. You did not come into this world to live another person's path. You did not come here to bloom on someone else's schedule. You did not come here to copy another soul's timing, body, gifts, lessons, relationships, or destiny. The flower does not look at the tree and say, "I am failing because I am not tall." The moon does not apologize because it shines differently from the sun. A river does not hate itself because it does not move like the ocean. Life is not asking you to become someone else. Life is asking you to become more lovingly yourself. So when comparison rises, pause and speak gently to the little one inside. Say, "We are not in their race. We are not late. We are not behind our own soul. Their path is theirs. Our path is ours." This does not mean you cannot be inspired by others. Inspiration opens the heart. Comparison closes it. Inspiration says, "If good can happen for them, perhaps good can happen for me too." Comparison says, "Their good means I am lacking." Choose inspiration. Release punishment. Say softly, "Their path is theirs. My path is mine. I honor my timing." Then add, "I am enough as I am. I honor my own journey." Another way we wound the inner child is by neglecting and punishing the body. The body is the only home your inner child has in this lifetime. When you treat the body as an enemy, the child inside loses the feeling of being sheltered. When you stay up night after night while the body is begging for sleep, the child hears, "Your needs do not matter." When you starve, over-control, binge, punish, or shame the body because it does not match the world's standards, the child hears, "This home is not lovable." When you flood the body with too much caffeine, sugar, stimulation, stress, or harsh habits because you are trying to escape your feelings, the child inside learns that comfort comes through neglect rather than care. And when you refuse to rest because you believe you must always be productive, the child feels as though love still has to be earned through exhaustion. My dear, your body is not a project to hate into perfection. It is a living home. It has carried you through every heartbreak, every morning, every night, every silent battle, every moment you thought you could not survive. It has breathed for you when you forgot to breathe deeply. It has held your pain when there was no safe place to put it. It has tried to protect you in ways you may not even understand. So begin caring for your body the way you would care for a small child. Give it water. Give it sleep. Give it food that feels kind. Give it softness. Give it movement that does not come from punishment. Give it a hand on the belly and a word of thanks. Give it rest before it collapses. Give it warmth. Give it forgiveness. You do not have to love every part of your body immediately. Begin by stopping the war. Begin by saying, "I am willing to treat this body with respect." Say softly, "My body is the home of my inner child. I care for it with tenderness and respect. Let the child inside feel that its home is becoming safer. And now we must speak about toxic relationships, because this is one of the deepest ways people unknowingly wound the inner child. When you stay where someone repeatedly belittles you, uses you, manipulates you, controls you, humiliates you, or makes you feel small, the inner child receives a painful message. I am not worth protecting. When you accept being disrespected because you fear being alone, the child inside says, maybe this is the only love I deserve. When you keep forgiving without real change, keep explaining your pain to someone who keeps repeating the same harm, keep blaming yourself for another person's cruelty, or keep sacrificing your boundaries to preserve a connection that does not feel safe, the child begins to lose trust in you. It wonders, will you ever stand up for me? Will you ever choose my safety? Will you ever stop placing outside love above inner protection? This is not about hatred. Healing does not require you to hate anyone. It requires clarity. You can have compassion for someone's wounds and still not allow their wounds to keep cutting you. You can understand why someone behaves a certain way and still decide that your nervous system, heart, and dignity are not available for ongoing harm. You can forgive someone and still leave. You can love someone and still set a boundary. You can wish someone healing and still choose distance. This is how you protect the inner child, not with bitterness, but with truth. The child within you does not need dramatic revenge. It needs to know that you will not keep placing it in unsafe places and calling that loyalty. Say, I love myself enough to leave what keeps hurting me. If that feels too big, begin with, I love myself enough to tell the truth about what hurts. Then say, I protect the child within me. I choose relationships that feel safe, respectful, and loving. My dear, the love that requires you to abandon your own safety is not the love your soul came here to heal into. Another habit that keeps the inner child trapped is resentment and clinging to the past. Resentment often feels justified, and sometimes the pain behind it is very real. Someone may have hurt you deeply. Someone may have abandoned you, betrayed you, ignored you, shamed you, or taken from you something precious. I would never ask you to pretend that pain did not matter. But when resentment becomes the room you live in, the child inside cannot come out into the present. It remains in the old dark room, watching the same memory projected onto the wall again and again. You may keep asking, why did they do that to me? You may replay the moment. You may imagine what you should have said. You may want them to pay in your mind. You may use the pain as evidence that you cannot be happy, cannot trust, cannot open, cannot begin again. And little by little, your life force continues flowing into the past. Forgiveness, my dear, is not saying the wrong thing was right. It is not saying you must return to the person who hurt you. It is not denying the wound. Forgiveness is saying, I will not keep living inside the prison of this story. It is the decision to take the child within you out of the past and bring that child into the safety of now. You can say, what happened hurt me, but I will not let it own my future. You can say, I was wounded, but I am not only the wound. You can say, I release the old story. I take the child within me out of the past and bring them into safety now. Imagine yourself walking into that old memory, taking the hand of your younger self and saying, come with me. We do not live here anymore. This may take time. Do not force it. Release happens in layers. But every time you choose freedom over replaying the old pain, You give the inner child a new possibility. Say softly, I release resentment. I bring my inner child back to the present, where healing is possible. The next wound is people-pleasing. This one is very quiet, and many people call it kindness. But people-pleasing is not the same as love. Love is generous, but it does not require self-erasure. People-pleasing says yes while the soul says no. People-pleasing smiles while the heart is tired. People-pleasing studies the room before it dares to have an opinion. People-pleasing sacrifices needs, rest, truth, and boundaries to prevent disappointment. And every time you say yes to someone else by saying no to yourself, the child inside hears, no one is on my side. It learns that love must be purchased through sacrifice. It learns that being accepted matters more than being real. It learns that other people's emotions are more important than its own. My dear, this pattern may have begun as a survival strategy. Perhaps being agreeable kept you safe. Perhaps being useful brought affection. Perhaps having needs led to punishment. Perhaps disagreement led to withdrawal, anger, or shame. So please do not attack yourself for people-pleasing. Thank the part of you that tried to keep you safe, then teach it a new way. Begin with small no's, small truths, small choices that belong to you. I cannot today. I need time to think. That does not work for me. I feel differently. I need rest. The first time you disappoint someone and remain with yourself, your nervous system may shake. That is all right. You are learning that disappointment is not death. You are learning that being disliked is not the end of your safety. You are learning that love that depends on your self-betrayal is not true love. Say gently, I can disappoint others without abandoning myself. Then say, I no longer betray myself to be accepted. I choose myself with love. Healing the inner child is, in many ways, the process of releasing old messages and giving yourself new ones. Old messages may have lived inside you for years. I am not enough. I must be perfect to be loved. My feelings are a problem. I must please others. I am not worth protecting. If I tell the folk truth, people will leave. These messages may not have come as sentences at first. They may have come through silence, rejection, criticism, emotional absence, comparison, shame, or the feeling that love had conditions. But now you can become the one who speaks differently. You can say, I am enough. You can say, I am lovable as I am. You can say, my feelings matter. You can say, I can be loved without losing myself. You can say, I protect myself now. You can say, it is safe for me to be me. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. The old messages became strong because they were repeated with emotion. The new messages become strong the same way. Repeated with tenderness, repeated in the body, repeated when you are triggered, repeated when you make a mistake, repeated when you feel afraid, repeated when you look in the mirror, repeated when you are tempted to abandon yourself again. You are not trying to erase the child within you. You are not trying to become someone who never had a past. You are healing by becoming the adult that child always needed, the one who listens, the one who protects, the one who says no, the one who gives rest, the one who stops the cruel voice, the one who chooses safe love, the one who says you do not have to earn tenderness anymore. So, my dear, stop becoming the voice that once hurt you. Perhaps the world was unkind. Perhaps someone did not know how to love you. Perhaps your feelings were ignored. Perhaps your softness was mocked. Perhaps your needs were treated as too much. But today, you do not need to continue the wound from the inside. Do not scold the child anymore. Do not compare the child anymore. Do not abandon the child's feelings anymore. Do not place the child in unsafe relationships and call it love. Do not make the child perform for approval. Become the place that child can return to. Become the lap, the home, the warm hand, the steady voice, the safe room. Place your hand on your heart now and imagine that little one looking up at you. Say, "I am sorry I spoke to you harshly. I am sorry I ignored your tears. I am sorry I compared you. I am sorry I kept you in places that hurt. I am sorry I made you please everyone to be loved. I know better now, and I will love you better now." Then breathe. Let the apology become a bridge. Let the love become a home. Say, "You are enough. You are safe with me. Your feelings matter. Your body deserves care. Your path is your own. I will protect you. I will listen to you. I will not abandon you anymore." This is how healing begins, not by becoming perfect, but by becoming present. Not by never feeling pain, but by no longer leaving yourself alone in pain. Not by erasing the past, but by bringing the child within you out of the past and into the safety of your love. The way you treat yourself today teaches your inner child whether it is finally safe to be loved. So let your voice be gentle. Let your boundaries be clear. Let your body be cared for. Let your feelings be welcomed. Let your journey be honored. Let your heart become a place where the child within you can finally rest. And as you continue practicing, you will discover something beautiful. The child who once only knew fear begins to trust again. The child who once hid begins to shine again. The child who once believed love had to be earned begins to feel that love has been here within you, waiting to be offered. All is well in your world.